It's your sister, Jessie Woo. Welcome back to another episode of Just a Couple Things, y'all. Your favorite podcast hosted by me, your sister, Jessie Woo. Now, before we continue, are you subscribed? Are you subscribed? Are you following me on every platform that streams podcasts? I need you to go to the Apple people on Apple Podcasts and click follow on Just a Couple Things. And if you are on Spotify, go ahead and go to Just a Couple Things and hit follow there as well. Because guess what? You gonna get the episode first. Okay, Ray J, you got it first, boo. Okay. Without further ado, child, we're gonna get into a lot of things. We just got just a couple things to talk about. And we're going to do it with mi primo, my honorary primo, okay? My Dominican cousin, all right? Without further ado, I'm going to just go ahead and bring him in. Y'all know him, Mr. Kevin Ortega-Rojas.
Oh, it just rolled off the tongue. Hello, cousin.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, child. We have a lot to talk about. You and I have just a little bit of opposing views when it comes to what we're going to talk about today. This episode, spoiler alert, before we even get into it, spoiler alert, this episode is all about sinners. That's how amazing this movie was. That I'm not doing no what the fuck did I just watch. I'm not doing no Danger in the Land. Actually, I should do Danger in the Land. It was a lot of danger in the land in the movie Sinners. But I thought that Kevin would be a perfect person to dissect this with me and just talk about Sinners. If you've seen the movie, drop in the comments and let me know. If you're leaving a review, make sure it's 5 stars. But drop down a review and let me know what your thoughts were on Sinners. Before we get into Sinners, though, Kevin, do you remember the time? Somebody told me I'm autistic because I keep doing that.
Breaking into song?
Yeah, am I on the spectrum?
Okay, Amanda Seals.
Okay. Am I self-diagnosing? Okay, but people did say, girl, you might be on the spectrum. Mind you, people is my man. He said, I remember the first time I came across your content. Mm-hmm. It was a video that you posted about Haiti and the DR, I believe. And you were talking about how anti-Black Dominican Independence Day is and how how anti-Haitian it is. And I just remember you getting a lot of backlash for that. You got a whole lot of backlash for that. But one thing I like about you, you stand in what you say. You said what you said. And historically and geographically, you are correct. And so I remember seeing that and like, okay, I can follow him. I can follow this man. This man has some sense. And so I just want to talk to you about the platform that you're building. Here's why, Kevin. Talk to me about why it's important for you to have the platform that you have and why it's important for you to make sure that people are informed correctly.
Oh, thank you for taking time to highlight that. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah, shout out to Threads. Threads is what introduced me to my cousin. That's how there's a handful of people that I found specifically on Threads that I'm like, same. I got family from this. Thank God we were there early because that place is successful now. But
my God.
So I have a platform called Here's Why Kevin. And it's called that right now just to keep my name attached to it, but eventually it'll be Here's Why News. It's going to be an independent news
Period.
Outlet.
I love that.
That's the plan. But for me, as an Afro-Latino from the hood, there's a lot of misinformation that's people in my community are just so easily susceptible to buying into, to regurgitating, and people don't realize how much politics and the news and history and even pop culture affects our everyday lives. So I try to be a source that is not trying to, I think we overcomplicate things. I think that that is, especially like people who are more liberal, more progressive, people on the so-called left, we like to over intellectualize to the point where we lose people. Like people don't participate in politics because they feel like it's disconnected from them, because the average person isn't, you know, they're not holding a master's, they're not holding a PhD. So why are we talking about politics like it's this incredibly complicated thing? It's not, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really what my platform is all about. It's about being like, these are just the facts. That's it. Like, it's very simple. It's black and white. So
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I think Here's Why News is great. So many people have reposted your stuff. Like, you got Beyonce mama.
yeah,
Beyonce mama has reposted you.
She follows me. That's my friend.
Oh, period. Okay, that's goals. Joy Reid has I mean, so many people. DL Hughley. I've seen so many people repost your content, and so obviously it's reaching the masses. I know you said you want Here's Why News to be like, you know, a news outlet, but like, where do you really see it going, considering the current climate of this administration making sure that people are not informed, like literally not letting certain people into, you know, the what's the press rooms,
the press pool. Yeah. You know, I think that now more than ever, and a reason why I get so frustrated with people who are in legacy media, for example, my auntie on The View, Sunny Hostin, who like a couple months ago, she made what I thought was a really silly comment on The View, where they were talking about like, oh, like people get their news from social media, and she was like, well, that's ridiculous. Like, you know, we're trained journalists, and I'm like, but people don't trust big media anymore. And
no,
there are folks like myself, like Under the Desk News, like a bunch of other people online who are Elizabeth Booker Houston. She's a Texas Houston, not a New York Houston. She's told me that before. But you know, there's a bunch of folks online, a lot of black and brown folks who are sharing the news, and people trust us because we are reputable sources. So I think the more that Donald Trump does to push back on legacy media, the more that people look to us. Since Donald Trump has been inaugurated in the last 80 some odd days, it's about to be his 100th day next week. I've gained 50,000. Yeah, 100 days. The 100 days, April 30th. But since then, since January 20th, I've gained 50,000 followers.
Wow.
Like, my profile, between Threads and Instagram, I have a reach of about 60 million people a month.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
People are looking for the news. So I'm not really worried about what Trump is doing. And also, like, everything he's doing, all this stuff, I mean, at least for now, is public information. So I rely on the resources that we have through the federal government to uncover the truth. That's why I'm able to like share updates so quickly. And I don't have to go through the same channels as like a New York Times or a CNN, which is why I often beat them to post stories online, because they're like sending shit to editors and can I curse? Sending stuff to editors and like jumping through all these hoops where I'm like, no, this is the thing that just happened. Here it is.
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna post it right now.
Because it's not biased. This is just the facts, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I wish you well with Here's Why News. I look forward to where it's gonna go. I know you're gonna go really, really far with it. So, you know, I'm always here to support. So we're gonna get into Sinners, right? But before we get into Sinners too, I wanna kind of throw it back to what originally made me follow you, was you talking about, you know, Haitian and DR relations. And watching Sinners, the online Discord, it didn't take long for xenophobia to start showing up. It didn't take long for people to start talking about, you know, I'm seeing people from a certain island talk about voodoo. This ain't hoodoo. Hoodoo is not voodoo. Voodoo is not hoodoo. And then Santeria, all this stuff. And I remember there was one girl who was trying to basically pick at Haitians. And I'm just like, Girl, first of all, you made that up. I don't see nobody on nobody on Threads
I haven't seen
is
it.
saying this. No Haitians on Thread is saying this. Now Haitians are like, Ryan, you want to give us a Haitian Revolution movie? Haitians being me, because I love the way he sees things, and we're gonna talk about that too. But the way Ryan Coogler sees things is magic to me, and I'm like, damn, like his eyes with a Haitian Revolution movie. There's no telling what he could turn that into. But anyway, I saw people, oh, Haitians are trying to make this about them. And it's like, yo, why is it that we have such a hard time acknowledging that we're all from Africa? It's not even a Haitian thing. It's not even like a voodoo versus Santeria thing. We're all literally from Africa. This all derives from the same place. And as I was looking at the xenophobia, I was like, this is why a movie like Sinners is important. Because I remembered a couple years back where Keon Henderson, who has a church, was on stage, and this idiot said this.
Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the world. In fact, they say it is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Have you ever wondered how in the world can Haiti share an island with the Dominican Republic? Well, I'll tell you why. Because in the 1700s, when the African slaves came to the island of Haiti, and they introduced an idea called voodoo.
I love that the moment he said, now let me tell you why.
Right.
He was wrong. From the moment he said, let me tell you why, he was wrong. Because let me tell you why. The reason why the DR is the way it is and why it is established the way that it is because white people's money is in there. DR is completely owned and ran by white people. The reason why that nightclub collapsed is because of white capitalist greed and the fact that people don't want to pay for building inspections and pay to fix things because they don't feel like it, because it's not for white tourists, it's for people who live in the DR. And also in the 1960s, the reason why there's so many Dominicans living in the United States is because in the 1960s, the United States government went into the Dominican Republic, overthrew their president, installed someone, and ever since, the Dominican Republic has been working to uphold American values in exchange for economic success. Like that, it's just, when we try to divorce these conversations from historical context, it's so frustrating, which is why, like, talking about anti-blackness in Dominican Republic, I approach it with a slim amount of, like, empathy, because I'm like, exactly what I said before about the news. I'm like, y'all just don't know the facts. So you're just so susceptible to, like, all of this BS it's coming literally out of thin air because they think that you're stupid.
Well, because they're stupid. First and foremost, Mr. Shawnee Keon Henderson O'Neill is an idiot, and he really thought he was doing something by, there's a spirit. There's a spirit sitting there. Mind you, yes, Haitians have voodoo. And what do Dominicans have? Dominicans, too, are dying as well. It's just basically, like you said, there's more whiteness happening on one side of the island than there is on the other side.
He's also under the impression that, like, Dominicans are not practicing voodoo and that Dominicans don't share culture or heritage with Haitians, and that's not true. Like, I grew up around voodoo and I grew up around brujeria. Like, brujeria stems from voodoo, and like yes,
that's one of my songs,
and it's culturally accepted. Like, like where I live, there's a botanica around the corner from me. Growing up, my aunt, who was a Black Dominican woman, she owned a botanica, and my grandmother, when I was a child, because I'm Caribbean and I'm a Cancer and I'm clairvoyant and I'll die on that hill, my grandmother, when I was a kid, taught me how to read tea leaves. Like, that all comes from the same place. And guess what? They still believe in God.
Literally. You know what's so funny too? A lot of Black Christians, and I want to point this out, that when I talk about xenophobia, a lot of times it shows up in Black churches because Black Christians love to use Christianity to be xenophobic towards other groups of Black people, as if it's actually not it is a well-known fact, even when it comes to voodoo priests, that the best priests are those who have a relationship with Christ, those who have a relationship with God. If you don't have a relationship with God, you're not seen as, a powerful voodoo priest. And a lot of times the powerful voodoo priests have a very good moral compass. The foundation of voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria, like, it was all a very good and positive foundation. But just like in the Christian world, just like in Catholicism, where you have priests hijacking little boys' booties, a lot of times people are out here using religion for disgusting gains. Mm-hmm. They're using religion to put people in bondage. And so the same thing has happened with voodoo. The same thing that has happened with voodoo has happened in Christianity. We see it every day. Like, it's happened in the Catholic Church. And another thing that really bothered me too about his sentiment was the fact that I think a lot of people think that Dominicans, just because y'all are going down to the Dominican Republic and turning up, y'all really think that Dominicans have this like swell life. Like, it's not all roses for people in the DR. People in the DR have a lot of things that are holding them back from being successful as well. Mm-hmm. And so it's the systematic racisms that are happening that have affected Haiti. It's still taking place in the DR. It's taking place in Cuba. It's taking place in Jamaica. Like, it's taking place in all of these places. I just think that when it comes to the DR, people see a land of turn up. Also, I think that Dominican women, Dominican girls, people see going to the DR as an opportunity to take advantage of them. People don't want to talk about that. They kind of put all of that under the whole turn up of it all. And then they use the proximity of Dominicans to more whiteness than Haitians have to Blackness, and want to use that to like tear them apart. And it's like, no, there's a bigger conversation to have here. And people like Shawnee O'Neal's husband ain't having them because they're not smart. But he gets to stand up in a congregation full of Black people and spew xenophobia and misinformation. And then you have Black folks walking around demonizing other groups of Black folks because of ancestral religions.
Well, also, the same way that people over-intellectualize the news, people also want to, like, first of all, a relationship with God, with a higher calling, a creator, whatever you want to call it, is, to some degree, it's like, it's animalistic. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be this like pretty, and it can be if you want it to be. Like, it can be, we go to a nice church and we get dressed up, and Jessie on Easter, like, wearing Louis Vuittons. If you want to do that, that's cool. But that's not what a connection to God has to be. And that is, and so when you say that, when you say, like, when you demonize voodooism and hoodooism and santeria and brujeria, it's so anti-Black, because you are repeating what white men told to Black people when they forced Christianity onto them, because they were like, oh, you guys are acting like animals. Like, this is savagery. You need to be wearing a suit and come to church and sit in a pew and listen to me speak. And like, you don't realize, because Black people have become so accustomed to Christianity and to these traditions, which when approached from a good place, they're fine. But when you're using them to encroach on other people, that is when it becomes like you're doing what master told you to do. Like, I don't, literally, it's crazy.
Literally. And then even too, like, Christianity, like, we know at its foundation, it's not a religion that Black people didn't have. Like, Black people had Christianity, but what happened was you had white people who used Christianity to enslave Black folks. You know, the same way you see people using Christianity to be misogynistic, and women in the church are falling for it. It's so much to talk about. But, you know, when I saw all the rhetoric, and I saw even people like Lecrae talking about, oh, obviously Ryan Coogler had Church Hurt, which is why, like, you know, the movie.
I saw that.
Yeah. And it's like, bro, there's a clip of you, literally, there's a clip of you encouraging couples not to pray with each other when they're like, you're encouraging folks not to pray with someone that they're dating. Put the microphones down. Unplug the microphones, please. But let's get into the movie.
Okay.
Scale from 1 to 10.
20.
Lord, I didn't even finish it. It was though. It is one of the most beautiful movies I have ever seen, with so many layers. Mm-hmm. What was your biggest takeaway from Sinners?
Ooh. Freedom is inside of you. And freedom is fleeting. I think everyone in this film, every character, whether you like them or not, was chasing the same thing.
And what was that?
Freedom. No one in this film was free.
I think my biggest takeaway from Sinners was self-preservation. Mm-hmm. I feel like Black folks, whether you're West Indian Black, African from Africa Black, you know, United States Black, Latino Black, I feel like we do not know how to self-preserve. Mm-hmm. We just don't know how to do that. We don't know how to all get on one accord and say, this is the plan. We're all going to stick to it. Like, people be having to pull teeth. You can even see it, like, just, there were so many parallels in the movie to what just I see now, like within the Black community. Even when you look at shit, like Black people, this last election, like how we just like, it was like pulling teeth to get everybody to close the door. You know what I mean? I feel like we don't know how to self-preserve. Self-preservation is something that we still need so much work on. But anyway, there's so many takeaways. I saw Feminista Jones. She said something about, you know, there's no alliances. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Black folks don't have no alliances. There's no such thing as alliances. I mean, there's so many. What do you think there is? Maybe there was like a lesson that you saw in the movie that you feel like a lot of people really haven't talked about.
I don't know if there's a lesson per se, because I think there were a couple big lessons, like what you're mentioning about, like a preservation of culture. You know, everyone now talking about like, don't invite everyone to the proverbial cookout, which I need us to let it go for a moment. But I think that
let it go for good.
I think that
Black people really need to stop doing. Oh, he's taken to the cookout. No, no. Do white people be inviting us to their gatherings? No. Stop inviting white people to the cookout.
I think that there though is a bit of a misunderstanding of some of the characters in the film, which has been like something that is just I've been stuck on, because I should mind my business. Like I got the film. I love the film. I've seen it 3 times. I think it's Ryan Coogler has made some cash off me, because every time I go, I'm like, who wants to come? I bring 5 people. I'm like, I'm getting everyone's tickets. Who wants to come? You have no excuse. Yeah, there's just I want people to get as much out of it as possible, and I feel like a lot of people are looking at this film from like their own personal lens of like their life. And I'm like, no, I'm like, look at their life. This is not about anyone in this theater. There's a connection. There's obviously, you know, like a diasporic bond between the people in the audience and the people on the screen. But there's a story being told. Like, there's something here to witness. And it's you know, it's a shame that some people won't get it.
Yeah. I think there are points of the movie that I want to talk about. Just like some scenes that I felt like were huge, like, or that really sat with me. I think in the beginning where we see Preacher Boy, and he is getting ready to go pick cotton with his family. And he's picking cotton and he's doing the thing, and then he stops by his father's church and he goes to go pick up his guitar, and his father tells him, son, you keep dancing with the devil's gonna follow you home. Mm-hmm. That line was so haunting to me, and it just made me think a lot about how, like, just in my personal life, when I was a little girl, I knew pretty early that I could sing. Mm-hmm. I've always just known that I could carry a tune. And, you let my mom tell it, she'll tell you I was singing very well, like at age 3, that I was singing very well. Like, I was singing.
Don't get me started. You can sing down, because
oh, thank you.
Like, the Waterfalls is on my gym playlist.
Oh, period.
And while I got you here, we need a ballad. All right, go ahead. Continue with what you're saying. But
period.
I need a song about Mr. Easter.
I have one.
Oh.
I have one. I actually have. I had somebody remix Neo's "So Sick of Love Songs." I had them remix it into a compa beat.
Oh.
So I actually do have a little ballad coming. So I do. But I remember when I was a little girl, mm-hmm. and I could sing. And whenever you know how to sing in church, one of the first things you'll hear is, don't sing for the world, sing for the Lord. And that was something that my mom would always tell me. Pas chanter, you have to sing in church. You want to sing in church. Chante dans l'église. Ou les wash la, c'est n'imba ouais côté pour moi pas sûr. That's what it was. And my mom, she was a choir director. She knows how to sing very well. Actually, both of my parents have very, very nice voices. I don't know if my daddy could still sing because he a crackhead and he fucked up.
Leave that man alone.
One thing about me, I'm going to remind y'all, my daddy's a crackhead. My daddy was a crackhead.
I speak for the audience when I tell you, every time you bring this up, I be across the room cleaning. I'm like, Jessica.
You know what it is? Let me tell you what it is. Because I've always felt like you should tell your own tea, because when people find your tea, they feel like they're going to weaponize it against you. And I've even had people in my community, like, when they want to throw shots at me, it was like, oh, that's why her daddy a crack. Well, see, it don't hit. Because I told y'all that from day one. My daddy was a crackhead. But it was always sing for the Lord, don't sing for the world. Mm-hmm. And being a world entertainer was always very demonic to church folks. Mm. And when I see the movie and I realized that the devil really followed him home because of his voice, it brought me back to my childhood. Like that moment where Preacher Boy is in the car with Stax, and he starts playing was it a guitar? Was it a ukulele? What was it? He had a guitar.
He had a guitar, yeah.
Yeah. When he started playing that guitar and started singing, the way Stack, his eyeballs widened. And I remember looking over to Mr. East and I said, oh, he sees money. And then his next line was, oh, we about to make money.
Yeah.
It took me back to my childhood, and I was like, dang. It's crazy how your voice, the talent God gave you, can really like summon demons because they want to use that to attack you.
I disagree with you.
What do you disagree about?
As far as like the within the movie, not your own personal view, obviously. But within the movie, I completely disregarded his father's words. Which, shout out to that man. That's Persia White's ex-husband, and that's I immediately noticed as soon as I saw him on screen. But I completely discarded his father's words, as Sammy also does in the movie, which I think is the point. Because in the opening of the film, the narrator, which I love the narrator because the narrator really does push the
Yes, a
story along.
phenomenal job.
Yeah. So I love that aspect of the film. The narrator talks about how in different cultures there are people whose voices and whose musical talents can bridge the gap between space and time and call upon ancestors. And I think and that is what they were basically alluding that Sammy was gifted in a way that was similar to tribalism and like hoodooism, and that he had this gift to be a bridge. And so for me, I think I didn't see any negativity in it. To me, it reminded me of what we were just talking about, and the way that sometimes Christians can look at things that are more tribal and more outside of the church and look down upon it. And I think that that's what that was. Because if you notice, his father said, I want you to help me with tomorrow's sermon. And he said, can you read this passage? And Sammy starts reading the passage from the book, and he closes the book and he finishes it because he knows it by heart. And I think the message there was like, Sammy got what he needed out of the church. He's heard the word, he knows the word, he can recite it, but like his calling, his spiritual calling is this. It's not the church. So I didn't see it as something negative.
Well, I don't think I didn't see his voice as something negative either. But however, I think there's a connection between, for instance, like we all know Satan was Lucifer. Lucifer was the best singing angel. There has always been this like myth in the church about singing, about people who have the gift to sing, and how the devil will attack that. So not necessarily that you are wicked or you are negative, but when you have a great gift such as singing, that there are demonic forces that chase that down to stop you from being able to be, like you said, the bridge. Like even when they were down to the juke joint, what brought Remick to the juke joint, he said it was his voice. He heard his voice. He heard that singing, and it summoned him straight to the juke joint. So yeah, I did see the connection. That's the connection that I made. What did you think about Michael B. Jordan playing Tia and Tamara, like Danielle Pinnock? Shout out to Danielle Pinnock. She's on Ghosts on CBS. I mean, she's so gifted and funny as hell. She's Jamaican. I love Jamaicans down. She's hilarious. And she was like, Michael B. Jordan was giving Tia and Tamara. Yes.
He was great. He was amazing. I think doing that is really hard.
Yeah.
And within 7 to 8 minutes, I knew who was who. Like, they were just such clearly different people. He carried them differently. Their bodies looked different. And I just think he did a phenomenal job. And even from the very beginning, which, maybe you'll touch on this, I don't want to jump ahead of you, but like the hand tremor, at the end of the film, we see
you pointed that out.
We see Michael B. Jordan's hand shaking at the end of the film. And when I watched it the second time, I realized his hand is shaking from the very beginning of the movie.
He was trying to calm his hand from the beginning.
And it happens every time that he's about to experience conflict. Smoke's hand, and it's his left hand. Smoke's left hand shakes, and he has to use his right hand to stop it. And so he does a really good job at like showing like the physical attributes of
both characters.
Bull. Yeah, because Stack is, when they're leaning against the car, Stack is like, he's kind of chill, like his shoulders are rolled forward and he's rolling the cigarette, and Smoke is like stoic, and like straight up, but he's still shaking. There's like some tremors there. It was great world building. It was great character building. I loved it. He was great.
Yeah, he was great. He was phenomenal.
I have one complaint.
What?
He didn't take his shirt off. Not once.
You wanted to see him take his shirt off?
At least once. All that sex, fully clothed.
He didn't take off his shirt when they was sexing?
Nope. Every time he had sex, he was dressed. I was so disappointed.
No.
She couldn't cast a little spell to like... No. Every time.
So we didn't see Michael B. Jordan's titties?
Nope.
I thought we saw his titties in the movie. I think Michael B. Jordan did an amazing job. Amazing job. I mean, he's always been a great actor to me, but I think being able to do both of those characters that way, that I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, you're him. You're definitely him. So they run around town trying to get ready for this party. This is gonna be their first party. You see Smoke and Stack split up. Preacher Boy goes with Stack. Preacher Boy and Stack are down to the train station and they find Delroy Lindo. Or what was his name? What was his name in the movie?
Delta Lindo. Delta.
I can't remember what.
Delta
what his
Slim.
name.
Sorry, Delta Slim.
Okay, so they find Delta Slim and it's really Delroy. Delroy. That's such a Jamaican name, my lord. They find Uncle Delroy. And he's down to the train station playing the fuck out that harmonica. And they was like, listen, we about to have a party of the motherfucking century. Okay. We throwing our first party tonight. You know, we good for it. We gonna pay for you. Everything's on us. When Stack took out that beer and opened it up and Daryl was like, when he jumped back at the fizz, I screamed. I screamed because I thought, oh my God, is that his first time seeing fizz?
Well, like, I think a lot of people,
in that sense,
yeah, a lot of people in the theater laughed, and I just want a shout out to the man who was sitting to my right when I was watching the theater. I never looked at this man. I don't know who he was because he came in, the lights in the theater were already off, but I thought the seat next to me was going to be empty. That's what it looked like when I bought it. This man and you couldn't tell me that wasn't my uncle. And he was a older black man. I could hear it in his voice, but we never looked at each other. But we watched I was on a date. We watched the whole movie together.
I'm screaming.
And his reactions were killing me. But, there were a lot of people in the theater who laughed at that. And it was his reaction was funny, but there was no beer. People in the Delta, Mississippi, they were drinking corn liquor. They were making liquor because you could not get alcohol. So they did not have real beer in that area. So that's why he was like, I'll do it for some beer because we can't get this shit around. We can't get the real stuff around here. We're drinking fucking corn.
Right.
Yeah.
Not corn. They was drinking corn.
Which is why everyone was so impressed with what they had in the truck. And people, there was one person at the bar who was like, no, I don't want any of this fancy stuff. We can't afford it. Just give me some corn liquor. Because that's all that they can afford because that's what they're used to. They're used to
exactly.
Cheap. Yeah.
So then the corn liquor scene, then we see the scene where Mary rolls up. Mary, did you know? Rolls up. She sees Stack trying to hide. Preacher Boy sees a white lady staring him down. And, she comes and she confronts him and we find out that they used to be lovers and her mama just died and he ain't pay her mama no respects, ain't send no flowers or nothing. Where is the compassion? Where is the, what's going on? What? No flowers or nothing down to the fume. We find out later in the movie that, her mama took care of him and, his brother for a little minute. We also see down to that scene, we see a lady named Pearline, Pearline married, but she's staring Preacher Boy down. He's staring her ass down too. And he said, are you going to come down to the Juke joint tonight? She said, I don't know. I might. It's a lot of buildup. We've seen a lot of buildup while this going down to the train station. We got, Smoke down to the Asian people. He down to the Asian mart. And I said, not the Asian mart in the middle of what's going on? And I just was reminded of how Asians have always just been able to just exist amongst everybody. Mm-hmm. Whether it's black people, whether it's white folks, Asians have always just had this position where they're safe. Now, don't get me wrong. I know Asian hate is real. I know there have been crimes and atrocities, that have taken place against the Asian community. So please don't take what I'm saying out of context. But in the general sense, in neighborhoods where it's not even safe for black people to walk around, the Asian lady with the beauty supply store, she good. I want to know what that is.
So I really, really love the inclusion of other people in this story, and I made it clear to a lot of people, like, y'all have to realize that what Ryan Coogler is saying in this film, which we'll get to later, is white people did this to you too. So the message is for everybody. The story is a black story. This is about black people, which is why people are like, where the Native Americans go? Bro, this isn't their story.
Yep.
Their inclusion was enough. Featuring them was enough.
No, but also this is their story.
What I'm saying is this film, it's a black film. Do you know what I mean? So like all of the stories intertwine and they're all connected, but like this piece of art is, you know, it's black art. But you know, Southern Chinese people were a thing, you know? Like they were there. So I love that inclusion. And also and this is something that I did notice, but also Feminista Jones breaks down really well in her review, where she talks about, you know, when they pull into town, if you pay close attention, the street that they're pulling into is split in half. So on one side, you have a Jewish operated business. The last name is a Jewish last name. You have a Mexican tamales truck. So there are Mexican people who are selling food. Then you have the like black owned businesses who are selling food, and then you have the Asian or the Chinese operated market. So all these businesses are here, and it's all black folk who are shopping there. And the Chinese family own two shops, one on this side of the street and one across the street, because across the street there's only white people walking on the street. Only white people are shopping across the street. The black characters are not allowed to go over there. And also,
I didn't notice all that.
So across the street, that's where the white people are shopping at. And then also, if you pay close attention, the store that they operate on the white side of the street is much nicer than the store that they have across the street. The signs are bigger. The signs have better font. Everything's clearer. The stuff is more neatly organized. And over there, it's a little darker. The posters aren't as clear. It's really, really interesting, the attention to detail there. But I think that their inclusion was really important. And I had someone who was like, who said that, first of all, someone who didn't even notice that there were Mexicans in the film, and was like, it wouldn't have made sense for Mexicans to be. I'm like, well, first, Mexicans are there, and Mexicans were there. Again, like, Mexican people and black folks have been side by side for a very long time. Their stories have crossed for over a century. Mexicans were brought into the Mississippi Delta around the 1920s to fill in work positions. So they were also sharecroppers who were working alongside black people. And so like the Mexicans and the Chinese people, they were used as a
Asians were used to build a lot of things out west.
But they were also used as far as like the caste system to push black people further down. So they were like bringing people in, and so white people were here, and they were like, okay, well now, like, that's the whole like model minority thing. That's where it started, was back then.
Especially as black people were starting to be free. It's like, damn, we can't. Okay, so now we got to bring other people in here. And as a punishment for black people, well, go back to your country. Mind you, you done stripped black people of their country. And now we're going to usher in these new people in here. We're going to do them bad too. But, you know, slavery's over. So yeah, it's such a complicated history with all of us here. But still, I was looking at the Asian family, and I was just like, yeah, there's a story told there that's still being told now, that y'all are able to really enjoy many sides of the, for lack of better words that I have right now, racial spectrum that other groups don't really get to enjoy. And maybe that's a whole other conversation to have about Asians. But then we go ahead and we twirl on over to the scene where we had the two Ku Klux Klan members who were in their house, and they get a knock on their door, and, you know, it's Remick, you know, and he looks hurt, and he's telling that he's hurt, and they're ready to shoot him dead. But he convinces them not to, and he convinces them, you know, to let them inside, and he does. He does come inside, and then later on we get a knock on the...
Did you notice what he did though? How he changed the way he was talking to them? So first he was just trying to plead. He's like, someone's coming after me.
Yes.
My wife. And then he saw the hood.
The hood.
And then it became, oh, it must be these, these Negroes. They're Negroes. I'll help you get them. They're Negroes who are coming after me. They're gonna come here. Yeah. So it was like he played into them. It was really interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. I forgot about that. So then we get a knock from the Native Americans. Did a man come here? Did he come here? No, they kept denying it. They're like, listen, ma'am, if you let this man in your house, it is over for you. Please let us help you. She was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And when I say them Native Americans got to talking in their language, was by the way, as I was listening to them talk, I was like, I feel like I heard like one or two Creole words. I'm actually going to watch the movie back today. But I was like, I felt like I heard at least one or two words that kind of sounded like Creole words. But the way them Native Americans came and they was like, these white people are dangerous, very Pocahontas, very, you can paint with all the colors of the wind. Ooh. Very Pocahontas, very much, girl, these white people are dangerous. And I don't know if it was the chicken that got the cock-a-doodle-doodling. One of them Native Americans was like, baby, they started talking their language. And they got the fuck on. We ain't never seen them Native Americans again. Throughout the movie, I kept saying, where are the Native Americans? Where are the Native Americans? Has anybody seen the Native Americans? When I tell you that man came and he gave that one warning, he said, these white people are dangerous, sister.
He said, good luck.
And then he was like, good luck to you. Okay? His friends and them, the family members started speaking in their language and they got the fuck on. We ain't never seen them again. Ain't that the story of the Native American? The Native American tried to tell y'all, like, the Native American has tried to tell us from the very beginning. Okay? But you got the white people out here talking about, oh, when we came to this country, this land is your land. This land is my land. They made it seem like the Native Americans was down to the oven, cooking down turkey meat, burning up some corn and shit. Like, ain't nobody was cooking no damn turkey for y'all. Like, please. Happy Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving, we got to act like the Native Americans was really cooking down turkey for the white people who took their land. Can we please be for real? Mm-hmm. We haven't seen the Native Americans yet. And while I'm being obviously like humorous about it, Native Americans have this country has a very dark history with Native Americans that, to me, doesn't get talked about enough. And even as a Canadian, I was telling my man over the weekend that Canada is that really, really nice neighbor who has bodies in their basement that you don't know about when it comes to Native Americans.
All those children, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Native Americans had their own versions of concentration camps, if we really want to be for real. Yes, it wasn't as, well, I'm not going to say it wasn't as brutal as what the Jewish people experienced, but they were definitely concentrated. They were concentrated into certain spaces and they were whitewashed, basically whitewashed and basically killed off. And we ain't seen them yet. Like, we ain't seen them since. Like, it's really just, I feel like, even though this wasn't a Native American story, I feel like Ryan Coogler did such a good job of symbolism for me when it comes to Native Americans, when it comes to Asians, when it comes to all those different things. So now we down to the Juke joint. Oh, before we get to the Juke joint, we got to talk about Smoke meeting up with Annie.
Jessie.
What were your thoughts?
I was really surprised with the the flowers and the baby. That was interesting. I didn't see
Yeah.
that. I didn't see that coming. And I don't know. I think it was interesting that he was handling business and he was out here like he shot those guys in the ass. You know, he paid this little girl off. He was talking, talking
Yeah.
business. But in the back of his head, he knew that he was gonna go and like visit, because he asked for those flowers. They were part of the deal. He's like $13 and throwing those flowers.
Yes.
So I like that was always in his head to do that, which is why I think he wanted to split up with his brother. I think that's why it was his idea.
Yes.
And then like watching Annie, who is a healer,
Yeah.
who is selling to the community herbs and
Yep.
medicines. I don't know, I love that because it reminded me of my grandma, and of my aunts. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really nice to see that, like, this isn't, I like that they made her someone who is clearly a part of a community and who is
Yeah.
not isolated. She's someone who is doing for other people, because I think often also whenever we see depictions of like hoodoo or voodoo, it's like someone alone in a dark room with like
Yeah.
some like black candles, and it's like, no, it's this woman in like this really pretty green area with like little girls whose mothers trust them to go and like buy stuff from her,
Yeah.
to protect people in the community. I love that.
Yeah.
And
Me
their
too.
interaction obviously was like, beautiful. I think they had great chemistry.
They had great chemistry. And just like you, I was very, very appreciative of, the hoodoo, the just the ancestral worship of it all. That's what I like to call hoodoo, voodoo, all these, sectors of what our ancestors gave us.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it is a very beautiful thing. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever shared this, but if I have, I forgot. But I am 2 generations removed from voodoo.
Mm.
And my grandmother, she practiced it until she was pregnant with my mother. And what happened was my grandmother was pregnant with my mother for a very long time. I'm not even going to say the length of time because I know people going to be like, what? But my grandmother was pregnant with my mother for a long Sam Cooke long time. And she kept going to different hospitals, different doctors, and nobody was able to get my mother out of her stomach. No matter what village she was going to, no matter, what doctor she was going to, she just couldn't do it. And finally, she went to a voodoo priest. And the voodoo priest told her, hey, this baby is special. You need to take this baby to this particular church with this particular preacher. And that preacher is going to help you. And so she did just that. And she was able to deliver my mother. So that is when my lineage stopped practicing voodoo. My grandmother gave her life over to Christ. But it's not lost on me that the voodoo priest ultimately led her to Christ, which is why, again, in the beginning, when we're talking about how demonized these religions are, there's nothing demonic about our religions. What's demonic is the people who take those who take those religions for demonic gains, with demonic intentions. Some people will take a beautiful religion and have demonic intentions and be able to use what's supposed to be good for bad. And so,
I mean, like, child, how is that any different from these white people who are saying that, like, their Christian religion is the reason why a Colombian, trans woman, her legs and her arms should be broken and thrown into a lake and watched as she drowned, And I was watching a documentary this morning where people were during segregation, or rather the end of segregation in schools, integration rather, there were white people who were protesting integrated schools, and they were like, Jesus doesn't want this. And I'm like, y'all use God for everything. Your white Jesus don't want nothing.
Literally.
They're white Jesus. Jesus don't want food stamps.
Right.
Jesus wants you to earn it. Like
literally. Girl. Their white Jesus be wanting them to do everything but have fucking common sense and be for fucking real.
Yes.
Like,
so the same thing that they can say about, all of these different cultural practices and religions, people take Christianity and bastardize that as well,
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, it was beautiful for me to watch her. And like you said, like her and Smoke had a lot of chemistry. But for me, it was the sex scene. It was Annie looking over the Smoke and saying in her language, "Kopat bliem." Now, she ain't say that, but I'm saying in Creole because I can't say what she said. But the way she let that man know your body did not forget me, and then she grabbed that Oscar Mayer.
I was so...
When she grabbed that Oscar Mayer, then he turned her around and he started blowing her back out. When I tell you, seeing...
Jessica, please.
Seeing Wunmi Mosaku getting her back blown out healed me. It healed me. It healed me, Kevin. When I tell you it healed me, it healed something in me. You know what it is? I'm going to say something that probably might get me dragged. But I have never found Michael B. Jordan attractive.
This was nice. Jessica, thank you for having me on.
Listen.
Let me know when the episode drops.
Listen, I have never found Michael B. Jordan attractive.
We heard you the first time. You didn't have to repeat it again. What the fuck?
But let me explain why. And it's not because of his hands. It's not because of his hands. But it is because I've always had this preconceived notion that Michael B. Jordan is not attracted to women who look like me. I kind of do this thing where, like, if I think a man isn't attracted to women who look like me, I automatically don't find them attractive. So that was always my thing with Michael B. Jordan. But when I saw him lay hands on Wunmi Mosaku, I feel like God gave me new vision for Michael B. Jordan.
Listen, Michael B. Jordan don't want me either, but I still pray at night. It hasn't stopped me.
Listen, I feel that it wasn't just their scene too, but also I just want to see more dark-skinned, curvaceous women get these types of roles. I just want to see more women who look like me or look close to what I look like have these types of roles where they are sexy. It's kind of like her role kind of reminded me of Queen Latifah in Bessie. And I hate that Bessie is not talked about. And I feel like it's not talked about when it comes to Queen Latifah. The role, oh my God. Like, if you have not seen Bessie with Queen Latifah, please watch it. I believe it's on HBO or HBO Max. But there's a scene when Queen Latifah had a hard damn day. And she undresses herself and she just sits in front of the mirror and she just lets her titties sag. Like, it's just like, it gives Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder when she took her lashes off and she took her wig off and she showed her Harriet Tubman braids. Like, it's just like, I need to see more of that. Because there's beauty in that. Yeah. There's beauty in that. When I wake up every day, I see that in me. And I just want to see more of that with darker women with bigger women. I want to see bigger women get loved on and get their backs blown out on the screen. I need to see that. So I want to thank Michael B. Jordan. I want to thank Wunmi Mosaku. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. But that scene was beautiful. So now we down to the Juke joint.
Jessica said, thank you to the grip. Thank you to the lighting design. Thank you to set designers.
Yes.
Cinematographers, director of photography.
Thank you. And thank you to Michael B. Jordan. That thrust, it was not lost on me. That thrust.
Listen, we're gonna move on.
We're gonna move on. Okay, we're moving on.
But
Okay.
what I'm gonna say is just paying attention to what she was wearing. There's a lot going on in her house. Her door frame is painted blue in order to ward away evil spirits. And then when he starts knocking the sonic rings out of her, I noticed when I watched it the last time that she was wearing red underwear.
When you did what?
He knocked the sonic rings out her. You know? Just psh, psh, ding, ding, ding. So she was wearing red underwear, and I think she summoned him. Now that's just me. I could be reading way too much into it. But the fact that she was wearing red underwear, to me, I'm like, oh, she called that man. This was, she knew he was coming.
What do you mean? But why would she summon him if she was like, what are you doing here? What do you want?
You right.
Also, too, I love how he was trying to play down her power, play down her religion. And she was like, nigga, do you think you'd be here if I wasn't out here getting my mama say mama sama maku sa on?
Jessica, please shut the fuck up. You know what I was gonna say though, because he brought up, you know, why didn't any of this work for our baby? You know what I love? He asked once and he did not blame her.
Nope.
And I appreciated that. He never once. It never seemed like he failed. It seemed like this thing that she believes in is outside of her. He never acted like, why didn't you save our baby? He never treated her like you failed. This is it was always, why didn't this thing that we believe in protect our baby? And I loved that.
He wasn't a red pillar.
Right.
Child,
Right.
You know, the red pill community. Baby, she said, I've been getting my mama say mama sama maku sa on, and then she opened up his t-shirt, and what was in his t-shirt? The necklace she made him that was warding off everything. Don't get it twisted. You think you the one who saved yourself on the battlefield? Baby, no. That was the ancestors. And you know what? Even jumping ahead, her magic still worked. Because he didn't die. He didn't die. He didn't die at the hands of his brother. He could have. He didn't die, and we're going to get into that. But he wanted to pass away. He wanted to go and join her at the end. It still worked. So let's get down to the Juke joint, child. So we down to the Juke joint. Everything's great, baby. Fried chicken is being passed around, baby. They passing around the Cavassier. You know, Annie down there, she the bartender, she getting people together. They got fish and fried plates. I saw some okras being passed around. The Asians was down there, they was doing fried dumplings and all that. It was egg rolls being passed around. The Juke joint was it was sake being passed around, baby. The Juke joint was a time, bitch. It was a motherfucking time, okay? Fried rice was going around, sushi was going around. You know what I'm saying? Collard greens, the Juke joint had everything. Hennessy, it was some Hennessy in the bag. They even had some Bel Air bottles. Shout out to Rick Ross. Rick Ross had the Bel Air bottles popping, bitch. It was a lot of shit going on down to the motherfucking Juke joint. The Juke joint was jumping, bitch. Juke joint jumping. You got Delroy up there getting his Ray Charles on, minus the blindness, okay? He got the people together. Then you had him introduce Preacher Boy. He came up there, did his motherfucking big one. Can we please talk about the good times, yeah. Can we talk about the good time scene, baby? He did his motherfucking big one. So big that Ryan Coogler decided to show us how this boy's voice traveled time and how basically the African American voice, the voice of slaves, the hymns, that is the foundation for American music as we know it. Point blank, period. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I think that it was really beautiful for this to be a call out to the diaspora. And I think that folks especially who are going out of their way when people who are not Black American have a conversation about this film to say like, well, this isn't about you. I'm like, Ryan Coogler literally showed you how all these stories are connected.
Correct.
I don't know what like, you need flashing red signs and cue cards. Like,
literally.
The message was so clear. But that scene was gorgeously shot. I couldn't tell if it was a single shot or not. But it was beautiful.
That's another thing. That's another thing, because my man he runs shows. You know that scene where Smoke got to the Asian people store and called for his wife, and she comes out and she goes outside and she goes back in the store.
That's one shot, yeah.
One shot. See, this is why we have to whack people like Tyler Perry, because Tyler Perry,
but he's still making movies. What does it matter?
No. Tyler Perry, a billionaire, cannot give you what Ryan Coogler did with that 5-second one shot. Can't. Hasn't given it to us. He's a billionaire. There were many like crazy one shots. It was insane. And that's why we do have to whack the billionaires like the Tyler Perry, who is not doing the best that he could to give us great content. Because if you look around, there's not a lot of Ryan Cooglers. You know why? Because there's a Tyler Perry. Let's just keep it a buck. There's not a lot of Ava DuVernays. You know why? Because there's a Tyler Perry. Okay? Black filmmakers successfully are very far. Like it's, but you have a Black billionaire who's not doing the best that he can with giving us content. If you watch a Ryan Coogler film and then you turn around and watch Duplicity by Tyler Perry, if you're not angry, something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. And I love Tyler Perry. Whenever I get a little Tyler Perry audition, I submit it. But we have to be honest. And being honest doesn't mean you're tearing the Black man down. You're basically telling the Black man to step it the fuck up. Step it the fuck up, please. But they down to the Juke joint and Perline shows up. She shows up. She gonna sing. She gonna sing down. Perline left her husband at home. She said, "Ladies, leave your man at home. Club is full of ballers and the ballers too grown." She left her husband at home. She got the,
that girl was not married.
Ain't no way.
That girl was not married. She was playing.
Was she wearing a ring?
She was wearing gloves, so I didn't see a ring. But she was not married. She was doing what I do when I'm not sure if I want somebody. Oh, my man is on his way.
Oh, you think that's what she was doing?
Absolutely. I don't think she was married.
Baby, she got the down to the Juke joint, and her and Preacher Boy started flirting. They go to the back, child, and Preacher Boy said, I just want to take a little taste. It wasn't, the fried chicken wasn't enough. The okra wasn't enough. The sake, the egg rolls, the Hennessy, the Bel Air bar, it wasn't enough. He said he wanted to taste her. And she said, but I haven't even washed up. I walked here. He said, no problem. I like seasoning. I love seasoning on my food. And he got the taste in her. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he ate that married lady coochie like that. This was a young man. A young Black man, a young man eating up that lady coochie like that. Mind you, she married. And then you hear Stack come by the door and he's like, oh, that boy done found a button.
Listen to my little cousin.
Come listen. Not inviting people to come listen. Come listen.
And Grace looked impressed. She was like, she
took a little listen and she was like, all right, child, I got more egg rolls to drop in the fry, child. People hungry. The orders are coming in, child. He found a button. Later on, we see that she sings down and it creates this like good time scene. It was just amazing. But also down to the juke joint, we have Mary. Mary, did you know? Mary comes down to the juke joint. She going back and forth with was it Smoke or Stack that she first talked to?
Stack.
She never spoke with Smoke?
She spoke with Smoke, but not when she first got there.
Okay, so she talks to Smoke. She
gets inside. She talks to Cornbread. Cornbread remembers her. He lets her in. She gets inside. Then Sammy tries to stop her. And she said, boy, if you don't get the fuck out of my face.
Yep.
And he said, I'm with the twins. And she's like, are you little Sammy? She's like, you're old enough to drink?
Yep.
So she said, let me buy you a drink. And then when she gets to the bar, he says, what are you? And she says, what am I? I'm a human. And then she tells him her story. She talks about her mom. And then she notices Stack behind her. Yeah. And then she says they didn't even send her flowers to her funeral. And he said, we sent her flowers while she was alive to smell them.
Now, there's a whole dialogue about Mary. And you got even Spike Lee fighting in people's comments talking about, that's my sister, my sister, my sister. So apparently, Mary, the heritage that she has in the movie is the same heritage she has in real life, which is she has a grandparent who was half Black and half something else.
Asian, Filipino.
Right.
At least the actress. I don't know about the character, but the actress.
Well, in the character, she said her grandfather was half Black.
Half Black, yeah.
Yeah. So people are talking about her, whether she Black or whether she white. Kevin keeps saying this lady Black.
Kevin never said that.
Okay, what did Kevin say, child?
You want me to read you Kevin's post? Because I got it handy. Because Kevin never said she was Black.
Okay, so what did you say, Kevin?
What I said was she is not white. And she's not. Mary, the character, is not white. And what I want people to do is to watch a period piece with a lens of the time that it's taking place in. Mary in 1932 is not a white woman. She is passing for white. And she is what's known as an octoroon. She's an eighth Black. And I think that people think that like the one drop rule or like the paper bag test is like this theory that we talk about now because it's so far behind us in passing. And sometimes we use it as a joke. But like it was a real thing. The one drop rule was not a theory or an idea. It was a law. And so by law, legally and socially, Mary was not white. Nor would she be perceived as white. She could pass, but she's lying. And that is such an important part of her and Stack's character, which to me is why I'm like, if y'all misinterpret this, then you also misinterpret Stack and his intention and his character arc, because you're not understanding the complexity between them. Because folks were like arguing in my comments, like, well, like I get it, like she looks white. I get that. But there are photos of girls who look just like her who were slaves. Like they were, Mary would have been enslaved if it was 60 years prior. So here's what I'll do for you, Jessica. Jessica, what do you see?
I see a Black boy and a white girl.
That little boy in the picture, his name is Isaac, and that little girl's name is Rosa, and they are both enslaved children in the Mississippi Delta in 1863. So this girl is an octoroon just like Mary. So again, the point is not that like, I'm not saying Mary Black, Mary should be at the cookout. I'm just saying Mary is not white, and that is the complexity of her character, because she doesn't fit in with white people. She's not supposed to fit in with white people. She can pass, but again, she's straddling this line. She's lying. In order to even pass, she had to leave the Mississippi Delta and go to Arkansas and marry a rich white man and spend her time pretending to be white.
She did say in the movie she never wanted to be white. She wanted to be with Stack.
Yeah. And so for her complexity, and I think her humanity comes in the fact that like, okay, well, I'm not white. I'm passing. I'm lying about who I am, and I'm not allowed to be here either because y'all think that I should go do that. And I think it brings up this like the like tragic mulatto like story of like, oh, where do I fit in? Which is like stupid. Which is stupid.
A couple years back, Travel Noir tried to do that with like Haiti, like got mulattoes in Haiti and was like, oh, you know, this is how we're being treated in Haiti. Travel Noir got their asses, they got their asses handed to them, which was good.
But like the whole like tragic mulatto thing, right? Like I get it. In the context of today, I get how silly it is. But then Mary's thing is like, but I don't want to have to pass. Like and so Stack, he forced her to go to Arkansas. He took her to Arkansas and abandoned her and married her off for her protection. And so people in my comments are like, well, no, it's because they didn't want her there because she was a danger. Like they would have been killed if they talked to her. If they would have seen her, they would have killed all the black people to protect her. And they were like, no. Stack says it verbatim. Mm-hmm. If one of these white people sees you here and realizes that you are colored, that you are a Negro or a mulatto, whatever it is, they would hurt you. They'd be able to hurt you because they would know. And so
he did say that.
His intention is never, oh, we're worried for our safety. Their whole thing is like, girl, you have privilege, choose it. And that's the thing with people. Like when people meet light-skinned folks or mixed race people, they assume and project onto them that like they either think that they are better than dark-skinned folks or that they assume that they want to be privileged. And it's like, well, no, some people don't want to choose that side. They don't want to choose the side of the oppressor. And here, people are expecting Mary to want to go and do the thing that she's allowed to do, which is pass, which may be hard internally for her. It may be a struggle because she feels like she's lying, but at least you get to be safe. But for her story is just like everyone else. Everyone wants freedom. And Mary is like, well, I'm not free either. Just because I'm light-skinned doesn't mean that I'm free. Because to me, freedom means being with the people I love, and I can't.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this. Anyway, everything you just said was based on facts, so I'm not going to argue that. Like, it's based on facts.
But you understand that I'm saying she's not black, right? Like, I'm not saying that either.
No, I get what you're saying, which is she's a 1/8. Like, I get what you're saying. And I get what you're saying about, yeah, like she would have been enslaved back then. I get it. I'm just saying that, you know what I'm saying? If you don't at least have one full black grandparent, you know black. You know black. And you know black even more if you got a white mama. I'm sorry. There are biracials and then there are birachals. Mary was a biracial. Her mama was white.
I disagree. I think her mom looked more black than she did because her mom was a nurse to black women. Her mom was nursing the twins, raised the twins, lived in that town. Because if her mom could have passed, why would her mom not have gone and passed? Why'd she stay? Why was she living in the Mississippi Delta among black people, raising black children? I don't know. I think her mom was visibly black, or more visibly black than she was. Which is why she's like, you know, my mama raised the twins and she raised them as their own and they didn't even come and pay respect. Because it's all black people who keep mentioning to her, we're so sorry about your mom. We know your mom. We knew who she was. I think her mom was a big part of that community. And I think her pain is the fact that she had to leave her mom there. So everyone there knows that her mom is dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
okay, when it comes to the blackness of Mary, we're just gonna have a hung jury. I'm gonna tell you this though, it was some white woman shit for her to go outside and ask them white people what they was doing outside. So remember, we have the vampires. Everybody doesn't know that they're vampires yet, but they come to the juke joint and they kept asking if they could come in. Cornbread said no. Delroy said no. They even went and got the manager. Can I speak to your manager? You got Smoke and Stat come through. Okay? They had to get the whole management team to come through, the board association to come through to tell them motherfuckers, no, you cannot get in, point blank, period. Okay? And so they started singing and dancing, and what was it? We pick poor Robin clean. I don't even want to sing that shit. That shit bothered me just hearing it. I don't want to sing that shit on in my home. But they was singing about picking somebody named Robin clean. And we was like, the black delegation was like, no, we cannot you cannot come in here. We don't give a fuck how many times you stroke them ukuleles. The answer is no. Then the white people saw the Mary, and they said, why is she here? And that brings me back to her blackness. I understand you gave us all the facts, but them white people looked at Mary and said, well, y'all got a white lady in here. And shout out to Annie. Annie was like, she family, which brings back a point that you said. She family, point blank, period. And so they kept playing their ukulele, and everybody was like, hell no. They closed the door like they was Marvin Sapp. Close the door. Close the door. We didn't even see when Mary, did you know, walked out the juke joint. Do you remember seeing when she walked out?
No, they were confused. Remember when she came back to the door and Cornbread was like...
Literally.
Yeah.
It was so confusing. When did she get out? But anyway, in white women fashion, she had to go out there and ask them people, what y'all doing here? What y'all got going on? She had to sit down and like, girl, what the fuck is going?
Well, I'm gonna push back. I think Mary was trying to do something good, and I think that she was trying to utilize her privilege here because no one thought about those vampires again. We had a whole nother number. We moved on, and it isn't until Smoke tells her we're in a hole and we're going to be out of money in 2 months. And Mary's like, okay, well, you got the Irish people who are about to come after you. You have the Italians who are about to come after you because you robbed all of them. And now you're going to run out of money. You need money. And those people outside, they said they have money. And they'll talk to me. So give me your gun and I'll go figure out if they actually have money. That's why she went outside. It's because she was trying to help Smoke.
So she thought that she was going to take her little ass and go shoot 3 white people? Like, please, I'm so sorry. Absolutely not. I get what you're saying, but that was very white womany of her to go do that shit. Cause girl,
absolutely, it's the white savior. That's not a defense of her, but I'm saying that's where it came from. Yeah. In her mind, she had the audacity to think, I can save I know what I can do. Yeah. Watch this. You know. Yep. I'm safe. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we know what happens to her when she thinks she's about to leave. We find out that these vampires can fucking fly. These are some flying cockroaches. You know when you kill a roach, you think you killed a roach and all of a sudden it just starts flapping its wings like, you got you, bitch.
Girl, what roaches y'all got in Atlanta?
I haven't seen no flying roaches in Atlanta, but when I was in Florida, oh my God. Florida has different roaches. Like, you know, in New York, you got the roaches who just come on the train. They don't even scurry from you when you try to kill them. The train stop and they just come and sit right next to your ass. Like, but in Florida, them roaches start flying. So the flying vampires got to her and Cornbread lets her in. Cornbread lets her in and she's all up in Stack face talking about all that robbing you be doing. You ain't trying to steal this pussy tonight. I'm definitely using that tonight when I see my man. You're not trying to steal this pussy? All that robbing you be doing, you're not trying to steal this pussy for the night? Yes, Mary, don't you weep. So they go ahead into the corner room. And there was a debate about what happened in that sex scene. When they was going back and forth, they kissing. And Stack realizes that she is drooling. And that's to signal us that obviously she's a vampire. And she's like, you want it? And he's like, yes. And she drools. Well, So there was a conversation online about spitting in people's mouth. How do you feel about that? You want us to move on? Okay.
I won't answer that publicly.
Well, I would say publicly is I've never done this. I've never done this at all. I think it is absolutely disgusting. And yes, I am kink shaming. I do not care.
I've never been more turned on by Michael B. Jordan.
Not you having a revelation too. So that turned you on?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, I saw so many people in heat. I'm like, what is going on? Y'all are like dogs in heat.
I lost my mind.
Y'all are like dogs in heat online. Like, what is happening? So the people love that scene. I hated it. So obviously
I want to know if that was CGI.
It had to be.
I want to know if that white lady. I want to know if that white lady spit in his mouth or not.
Has anybody asked them that in any interviews?
But I would.
Yeah, I would. I'm like, so was the spit real? Okay. Anyway, obviously she turns him and she starts eating him, and they find her eating him, and she leaves, and she's like, you know, we're gonna come back and eat all y'all. But obviously he's turned, and just like that, potty done. And we don't know where Cornbread is. Cornbread went on to take the longest piss, and I'm just like, what's going on? Delroy literally said, why you don't just pee out here? Like, nobody's out here.
He walked 50 feet to go take a piss.
Cornbread was dumb as hell. He was dumb as hell. So he went to go take a pee, like, deep into the forest. Obviously, they got to him, and he tries to come back in. And I loved that scene so much because the back and forth was like, it was so much, and it solidified how Remick was able to get into that first house. Please, may I come in? May I come in? May I come in? Can I come in? Can I come in? It solidified that, just in case you missed that. It solidified that. And also, it also kind of gives a little bit of, in the history of Black folks, not just in African American history, but just even in Africa. Even in Africa, when you think about just what happened, somebody had to let a vampire in. Somebody invited a vampire in, and it's still happening. Vampires are still being invited in. Period. And so anyway, so he doesn't come in, and he tries to bite was it Smoke, or was one of them? I think it was Stack. No, I think it was Smoke, because Smoke went to go hand him the money, and
well Stack is dead.
Stack is dead by then, so it was Smoke. Yeah. And you have Annie, who's like, be careful. And so anyway, everything gets fucked up. You have the Asian lady who husband leaves too. He went outside too to go get some from the car. It's just a lot. And so ultimately they empty out the juke joint, not understanding that they were sending everybody to go get killed. The juke joint really just became a slaughterhouse. Like literally a literal slaughterhouse. And so now you have Annie, you got the Asian lady, you got Smoke, you got Perline, Preacher Boy, Delroy. Who else? It was some random guy, and they threw him out because they didn't know if, you know, he was dead or not. And come to find out, he was not one of them. But by the time they figured that out, they was not gonna let him back in. And so it just turns into this thing where you have Annie, who's trying to prepare everybody. She's like, all right, let's do this. Let's get that. She gets some, what was it? Garlic water?
It was fermented pickle juice with garlic.
And then there's a scene where we all got to eat garlic. And you got Perline, who's like, I don't like the taste. I was like, girl.
My entire theater was like, eat the fucking garlic.
Literally. I said that in the thing. I was like, girl, if you don't eat that motherfucking garlic, then you got Delroy eating the garlic. But I'm like, oh, hell no. Not Delroy, Lord. They done got Uncle Delroy. But they didn't get him, thank God. But they're eating the garlic. They're trying to prepare themselves. And then there's a scene where the Asian lady husband come back. And well, all of them come, even Stack and Smoke and, you know, Remick, and all of them are trying to basically speak to the hearts of the vampires.
Before we get to that though, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we talk about A Rocky Road to Dublin, which is the musical number that happens outside with all
the people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time that we see that everyone's turned. So like,
yes,
you know, we see Stack is outside and Mary and like, you know, all the characters. I thought that was really interesting. My foot was tapping. I kind of enjoyed it. The you know, the Irish step dancing, and then, you know, the song itself, again, I thought was really brilliant of Ryan Coogler to include Irish people here.
Yeah.
Because the song, because it's not, you know, Remick is not a white American man. He's an immigrant, you know, he's a Celtic man. And so the song that he's singing, Rocky Road to Dublin, is about an immigrant's struggle in Ireland. And, you know, what happens here in America to Irish and Italian people and the way that they're mistreated. So I just thought that was really, really, really brilliant.
Which is crazy considering that. Wasn't Christopher Columbus Italian? Ain't he the reason why we all got this bullshit going on?
Yes.
So what do we, please, next. I feel like it's like a symbolism too of like how white people be trying to victimize. It's like, baby, please shut that shit the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. Y'all came over here and look at what the fuck y'all did. Please.
Well,
like,
Irish people were not considered white. Irish people became white socially. Oh yes. Yeah.
But Irish people ain't white.
They became white over time, but they were not seen as white. They were not.
What were they seen as?
Irish people were seen as apes. Like they were looked down on, and they were beaten and brutalized. And, you know, the British took over Ireland and invaded their land, and, you know, brought Christianity onto them. And the same, you know, which is again the brilliance of that connection of making Remick an Irish man, because actually I'm pretty certain that Remick is thousands of years old.
Oh yeah.
Which is why he's so like, which is why he's the only one that we see fly, and he takes the longest to die. I think he's really, really old, and he's been on this journey for centuries.
Yeah. So what did you think of the scene where the Remick lets the Asian, what was the Asian lady? I forgot her name, but he lets her know, listen, we know where your daughter at. Like, we know, you know, when her husband isn't able to convince her to come outside, and he's literally turned, and, you know, we got your daughter. And I mean, for me, when I was watching that, I was like, if y'all don't throw her ass out this damn juke joint.
Why?
Because the way she just kept going back and forth, it was too much. Like, the way I would just threw her ass out there, like, let her go.
Shut up.
Literally, I was like, let her ass go. Like, I felt like it was another thing of, I feel like self-preservation is something that Black people really have a hard time really like perfecting. It was clear that she needed to fucking go. And they just would not do it. And then lo and behold and lo, she fucking invites those motherfuckers in the juke joint. It was her doing.
Yeah.
They were trying to at least survive the night. Okay, all this badass Irish singing is hurting our ears. We got, okay, how many more hours to sunlight? Lord, okay, we got 7 hours. We could do it. We can do it, Lord. No. Asian lady said, come in, motherfuckers, and they did.
Yeah.
And who was the first to die? Her ass.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant.
What you thought was brilliant?
The way that she died. Because, again, at the end of the day, all these characters, they're all victims, right? And, you know, Annie did explain to us that these vampires, they're different than a Haid.
Yeah.
The vampires, they're stuck here. Their souls are stuck on this earth to live with hatred in their hearts, you know, forever. And so the moment that Grace jumps out, the first thing she does is she stabs her husband in the chest.
Yeah.
And she frees him, which I'm like, okay, so at least, he's not going to stay here and like go get their daughter. They're both gone. So I just thought that was good writing to like,
have
end
her
it
kill
that
her
way.
husband.
Yeah. And have them both be freed. Yeah, I thought that was good.
What do you think about Stack being the one to turn Annie? And she was like, not you, not you, not you. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then Smoke having to also kill her because he didn't want her to turn.
She made him promise.
Yeah. Yeah, she made him promise of that.
I think it was good writing. I think all of it, I mean, my comment's going to be the same. I think every decision was a good decision. So as far as within the story, I think that Stack and Mary, that moment that we were just talking about, when before Remick started speaking in Chinese and Stack and Mary trying to convince them to come outside, Stack and Mary tell them,
when Remick started speaking in Chinese and was like, I know how you like to get licked. Oh my gosh, look at this estate.
This movie is horny as hell.
Yeah.
But Mary and Stack, they both tell Smoke, like, we can be together here. And that's the moment when Remick tells him, and Stack is like, yeah, I know everything now. He's telling the truth. This place is a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Because earlier in the film, when they bought the barn or the mill, they felt the floor and they said, did you guys just clean this? Because wood has a very specific feel. And so they look at the floor and they could tell that there's a finish on it. So you could tell that they just cleaned it. And he's like, did you clean this? And he says, yes. They said, well, what was on here? And the man doesn't answer. And it's because this was a slaughterhouse. And so Stack tells Smoke, we were never going to be free. Yeah. It doesn't matter if the vampires came.
Yeah.
It's either the vampires tonight or the clan in the morning.
Tomorrow.
We were never going to be free. And so I think that Stack biting Annie it makes sense that they wanted to
keep
get them, because their whole thing, again, is not, to me, I have a lot of sympathy for all these characters. All of them want something, because even Remick, which I think we'll touch on at the end, Remick also wants something. Everyone has at the core real humanity there. And Mary tells them, like, we can finally be together. Because, again, Mary can't be with them in this world. But she's like, we can have heaven on earth and be together here. Now we can finally, doesn't matter what the clan, wants. And so, again, I think that Stack bit Annie because it was a way to probably convince his brother, like, look, now it's all of us together.
Right.
But I think Annie was the only one of them that wasn't a sinner. Which is why she was the one who was least susceptible to, like, be pulled into the whole, like, we can all just, live forever. Annie was like, well, I won't be trapped here. Like, I have somewhere else to go.
Yeah, I got my baby to go see.
She wasn't a sinner. The rest of them were, robbing and killing and stealing and whatever. And Annie was a healer.
Yeah.
So,
she had her baby that she wanted to go be with. I did find it interesting that obviously, Stack doesn't turn Smoke. He doesn't kill Smoke. He doesn't turn him. And we find that out later on. But it's just so many things, even at the end too, when we see. So basically, like, everybody's turned and you have Remick, who goes literally for Preacher Boy. He wanted Preacher Boy. And again, I think it is because of his voice. And he says that, I heard your voice. I heard your voice. And he knew the power in his voice. And if you look at Remick was a singer too. He knew the power in that. I even looked at the vampires. I was like, when did they rehearse? Like, when the three of them showed, I said, when was choir rehearsal? Then when you got the vampire choir, I said, what the hell? They harmonizing? When did y'all rehearse?
I loved that they tied it into the story when they said, like, once you get bitten, we all share the same brain. We all have the same knowledge.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's why they're all singing these songs.
They all knew the songs. They were, come and join the court. Yeah. Like, it was given, come and join the court. Like, what are we doing? And so he goes and they're in the water. He grabs a hold of Preacher Boy and he dips him in the water.
Damn, Jessie. Damn, Jessie. No justice for Perline. We just gonna move past poor Perline. What do you mean? She got bit.
She got bit? Okay. She wasn't supposed to be there that night. She supposed to be at home with her husband. Bye, Perline. Bye, Perline. You was being fast. You was getting your coochie tasted on, and that's why you did. Next. So now we down to the come and join the choir. And after the choir performance, we have the baptism. You got Remick baptizing choir boy for like 3-4 times. And as Preacher Boy is saying the scriptures, you have Remick who says the scriptures too. And I feel like it was so important to see that, because again, the scripture is something that good people know and bad people know. It is something that is used with good intention and bad intentions. Okay? You have to have discernment. And I feel like that was very important to see him recite those scriptures. Like, yeah, boy, I know these scriptures better than you do. And I'm still demonic. And I'm still Satan. I still followed you home. So literally, so I thought that scene was powerful. And of course, Smoke comes in and he's able to off with Remick's head, and, he passes away, and we see all those people pass away. And then at the end, we see Preacher Boy get back to the church. And I was scared because I remember during the movie, I'm like, oh my gosh, is Preacher Boy going to be a vampire? Like, what's gonna happen? But we see that he was able to escape that. But then we see that final scene where Smoke kept his promise. He said he was going to off with that clan's head. And we saw the clan, like you said, come back to the juke joint. It was either going to be the vampires or it was going to be them. Mm-hmm. And he does exactly what he said he was going to do. He kills them all. And as he's dying, because he caught a bullet, I love the scene where you see Annie pass him off the baby. You can hold her if you let that gun go. Mm-hmm. You can hold her. And then he picks up that gun one last time. You got the Klansman talking about, oh, I got money. Yeah, that's cute. Shoots him off, puts the gun down, and he goes into the afterlife to hold his daughter. I thought that was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then we think that that's the end of the movie. But it's not. The credits roll. Then we down to Perline's. We down to Perline's.
I love that. I loved that he took her name because he never forgot how that tasted.
Never forgot how good that coochie tasted. I remember getting a phone call from a guy.
Oh my God.
And it was like a good 7 years after he ate my coochie. He called me. And mind you, like, he was engaged. He called me and he said, you got some good coochie. Like, it was so random. He just called me up. He said, I just want to let you know you got some good coochie. It was like 7 years.
How did we get here?
I don't know. He said I had that Perline.
Before we move on too fast, because I know we've been recording for a while. So I just want to say one quick thing. I want to go back really fast. Do you mind?
Sure.
If I just give my thoughts. Hold on. So one thing, when Smoke kills Annie, when he frees her, he stabs her. A lot of people think that they wanted something from Annie. I want to just reiterate, I think that Mary and Stack wanted to live forever with Smoke and Annie, because Mary, that visceral reaction she had to Annie getting killed, that wasn't anger. That wasn't a vampire because everyone now is like, oh, they wanted her hoodoo. I'm like, no one ever mentioned that. she screamed her name and cried and she ran away. And the narrator says it was too much. Like the narrator says the words, it became too much for her. And then when we get to the river, I just want to point out, he's dunking his head. He dunks his head in the water 3 times. There's this whole, like, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Also, when Remick first gets to the white people's house earlier in the film, there are 3 vultures around the house who keep flying overhead. There's a lot of numerology in this. There's a lot of like numbers of 3s. But I just want to say, when he's dunking, when he's doing the forced baptism on Sammy, what Remick says is he recites the Lord's Prayer, and everyone behind him is also reciting the Lord's Prayer, almost like zombies, almost like people who were forced into something, right? But Remick says, when those men came and stole my father's land, they forced those words onto us as well. But they still bring me great comfort. And I think that there is, again, I think that they were exploring that like complicated relationship that folks have with
religion.
And also
with Christianity.
And also, again, yes, Remick is the villain. Yes. But there is a point where it's like, this happened to him. What is happening, again, the message to everyone here is the common enemy, which is white supremacy, happened to everyone. This happened to Irish people, and he's telling you that this happened to him back in 400 AD. So I just thought that was really interesting to bring that, to tie that in. And then when Annie is about to pass him the baby, she doesn't call him Smoke. She calls him Elijah.
Yes.
She calls him by his biblical name, but also what she says.
She always called him Elijah, though.
And does she? But what she says is, she says, if you put that cigarette out, you can hold him. I don't want you getting any smoke on her. And to me, it was like, leave that behind.
That's so good.
I don't want you getting any smoke on her. Yeah. So I think it was like, leave your sinning, leave that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was so good. But here's the thing too. We do find out that because then Smoke, Stack and Mary show up, they cooled you down to the socks. What's going on? They show up at Perline's, and we find out that Smoke made Stack promise to leave Preacher Boy alone. I thought that was interesting, because if we go by your reasoning that Mary and Stack wanted to live forever with Smoke and Annie, why didn't he could have turned his brother. He could have.
Yeah. Well, no, he couldn't have. He couldn't have. The reason why Stack didn't turn him is because Annie protected him.
I forgot. Yeah. Yes. That was my original point in the beginning.
So that's the reason, because it wasn't that Stack let Smoke go. It was that Smoke let Stack go. So Smoke is the one who said, I won't kill you if you leave him alone. Yeah. And the reason why I'm sure Stack agreed and promised is because
he wanted to live forever with Mary.
With Mary, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's so true. It goes back to the point I made earlier, which was Annie's magic worked even till the end. Even till the end. And at the end, what did he do? He took it off.
Yeah.
He took it off. When he took it off, he wanted to go. He wanted to leave on his own terms. He wanted to go be in the afterlife with Annie and his baby. I think this movie is, Lord, we done dissected the movie for so long. I'm sorry, child. This is gonna be a long episode, but so be it. Grab a snack. I hope y'all got snacks, child. But I think that I'm going back to see the movie tonight. This is one of the best movies I've seen in years. In years. This is one of the best movies I have seen in years. Ryan Coogler is not to be fucked with. Like, that man is him. That man is him. And I think that him and Michael B. Jordan have such a great work relationship. There's no telling what else they have up their sleeves to give us.
Yeah. No, they're great, and I would
Just
love.
don't give me nothing with Jonathan Luther King Majors Jr. the Third, please. I do not care that that's y'all homeboy. I do not want to see that woman beater. Please do not put him in anything.
I want
45
them.
boy.
I want them to leave this alone, though. I don't want a sequel. I don't want a prequel. I don't want a spin
Yeah,
off.
my man was. Oh, we should do a prequel. No.
I
Leave
love
this
when
as
art
is.
can just exist. Yes.
Yes.
Just whatever you imagine the sequel to be, the prequel to be, tell ChatGPT to write you a fan fiction version.
Period.
Read that.
Leave it at that. Leave well enough alone. Ryan Coogler, the Haitian Revolution movie.
Mm-hmm.
You need to give us that ASAP. 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 Mbap ma don corner. Pa fe bouche mwen long. Go ahead and get on that. Go ahead and get on that. I need to see Toussaint and them chopping up white bodies left and right. Go ahead and do that, baby. The ancestors, we need that. We need that. Haiti needs it. Okay? I need it. The children need it. I believe the children are the future. The children from the future need that. There is so much education that can be provided through that. And I feel like he has a great lens for it. And I know people will be like, oh, a Haitian needs to make it. He can get with a Haitian writer, but Ryan Coogler needs to direct that.
Yeah,
he needs to direct that. He needs to direct that. He has the eye for that story. I really hope that him, and if he don't do it, Jordan Peele do, but please don't have Quentin Tarantino.
The thing is, if we say a Haitian has to be involved at every step, it's like, okay, well then we're never gonna make it. We gotta find the perfect Haitian writer, casting director, producer, director. We're
never gonna get it. Please
find people who know the history, revere the history, and want to tell the story accurately.
Please, okay.
But if we can't do that, can we at least get an animated film?
I know, like something. So I'm writing a story that I'm making into an animation. I'm gonna start writing the music for it, but right now I did partner up with a writer to help me write it, and it's really, really good. I'll send it to you so you can see. But it's really, really. I mean, I feel like everybody who writes something will think it's really good, but people who have read it, that's not true. I find that's true.
I got plenty of bullshit over here.
But no, I definitely think I think I'm onto something. So I look forward to doing something that's animated. But yeah, we need more like stories like that. And I hate when people say, "Oh, we don't want no more slavery stories." I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot more stories to tell that have not been told yet. And it doesn't have to be told as if it's a Roots movie.
Yeah, I love what Feminista Jones, aka Professor T, what she said when people say like, we don't want any more Black trauma films, we don't want any more slavery films, and she's like, well, y'all don't read, so we're gonna have to put it somewhere because y'all don't know nothing. And that's the truth. Until people start reading for fun again, we're gonna have to start putting it in the movies. But that's a waste because I'm over here trying to explain the one drop rule and people are like, she white. I'm like, never mind. Never. No, y'all don't want to learn.
It's very, I mean, we could wrap things up right then and there. Y'all don't read. Y'all saw what I just played from Mr. Shawnee Keon Henderson O'Neill stand up on the pulpit and saying what he said about Haitians. Y'all don't read. And so Feminista Jones is absolutely correct. We're going to have to put this in films so you guys can actually learn something. Anyway, y'all, Sinners, amazing movie. No notes. No notes. No complaints. It is just a masterpiece. If you have not watched Sinners, please go watch it immediately. Kevin, thank you so much for helping me dissect this film, child. I know I done took all your afternoon, child. But thank you so much for helping me dissect this film. Can you let the people know how to follow you, how they can support you, if you have anything coming up?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It was an honor. I love hanging out with you.
Period.
Y'all can follow me at Here's Why Kevin on Instagram. You can find me at Here's Why Kevin on YouTube, on Substack, Here's Why Kevin.substack.com. Yeah, and go get the news from me.
Period. Go get the news. And when you're done getting the news, come over here. We'll talk about just a couple things, child. Make sure you're following me and my podcast on every platform that streams podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see the visuals. And y'all, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. I will see y'all next time. Bye. Jessieewoo, GBS. I just turn the water on. Big old flex. She never saw before. He's chasing me like waterfall. Jessieewoo.
Pioneer.